Good afternoon and welcome to this Thursday, October 25th edition of Westman Newsline. I'm Colton Yarch alongside Jordan Olson and Dylan Donald. In today's news, we'll bring you updates on two serious incidents in Manitoba that have resulted in death. But on a happier note, Jordan will be in with sports. And Jordan, I understand the Brandon Wheat Kings were able to win big last night.
That's right, Colton. The Wheat Kings got back to their winning ways against the Giants. All of that story and more later on in sports.
Thanks, Jordan. And Dylan will be in with weather. Dylan, from what I've heard, I suspect the weather forecast is not going to make me very happy today.
Well, Colton, whether you like it or not, you may have to pull out your winter coat soon, as we're expecting some flurries over the next couple of days. Currently in Brandon, it's +1 and cloudy. Winds are out of the west-northwest at 46, gusting to 58 kilometers an hour. There's only a 30% chance of precipitation. That's it for now, but I'll be back later in the show with full weather details.
Thanks, Dylan. We told you earlier this week there had been a stabbing death at the Brandon Correctional Center. According to Brandon Police, that information was wrong. Jean-Paul Beaumont, who was a high-ranking member of the Rock Machine biker gang, was originally reported as being found stabbed to death in his cell on October 14th. Although the results of the autopsy are not being released, a press release from the Brandon Police said he did not die from a stabbing. The investigation will continue and the cause of the death is not being made public. Yesterday, we told you about a two-vehicle head-on collision in Winnipeg that sent 5 people to hospital. It was reported today that a 7-year-old girl who was in the crash has died and a second child is in critical condition. Police say the crash involved a minivan and a sport utility vehicle in a west central neighborhood. The 5 people in the van were all taken to hospital with serious injuries. The lone male driver of the SUV wasn't hurt. Who knew a vehicle 1/20th the size of a Formula One car could take 4 students halfway around the world? 4 Crocus Plains students are heading overseas to Abu Dhabi next week to find out if they have what it takes to beat their competition in the Formula One in Schools World Finals. If they do, they'll walk away with the Bernie Ecclestone World Champions Trophy and, even more importantly, highly sought-after automotive and motorsport engineering scholarships to City University London. Grade 12 students Evan Mellinson, Paige Kasprick, Jordan Dick, and Javon Swallow have raised $25,000 and have been preparing their trip for 2 years, ever since speeding away with second place at the national competition in their grade 10 year. That secured them a spot in the World Finals. Halloween is quickly approaching and 2 student unions are coming together to help the less fortunate. Westman Newsline's Randy Joseph Lilly went door to door to file this report.
Sharing is scaring. This Halloween, the Assiniboine Community College Students Association and the Brandon University Student Union are teaming up to try and help out the less fortunate. Rather than trick-or-treating, volunteers are being asked to go door to door on the 31st to collect non-perishable food items. The ones benefiting will be their own students. Christopher Kelly Nicholson, the president of the ACCSA, is excited to help his peers.
As a students association, we are here for the students. So it makes sense for both of the student unions to get together and do something that means a lot to the students that aren't that well off to help supply them with food.
There has been a lot of success with food drives in the past, and this year is no different. Vice President Internal Raymond Thompson tells Westman Newsline how thrilled he is with the response so far this year.
We've had overwhelming student support and community support as well.
It's not all about the less fortunate, however. Eric McIsaac tells Westman Newsline how potential volunteers can benefit as well, and how he plans to help out again.
I got involved with it by just seeing posters around the school, and it just sounded like a fun thing to do, and it ended up being a lot of fun, and I felt like I gave back to the community.
In an event usually reserved for Christmas and Thanksgiving, Halloween will be responsible for some people being able to have a much-needed meal. For Westman Newsline and photographer Tamara Pimentel, I'm Randy Joseph Lilly.
Census data from 2011 shows the French language has taken a hit in Manitoba, where fewer people speak it as a first language or in conversation. French is now the mother tongue of just 4% of Manitobans, dropping from 4.2% recorded during the previous census. Fewer people also identified French as their first language as part of the 2011 census. Not only are there fewer native French speakers, The census suggests bilingualism levels have taken a dive over the past 5 years. The share of Manitobans who can carry on a conversation in both English and French fell by half a percentage point to 8.8 in 2006. And speaking of percentage points, let's take a look at where today's money markets are currently sitting.
You're watching Westman Newsline, produced by the media production students of Assiniboine Community College. Local news, weather, and sports only on Westman Newsline, airing on WCG-TV at 1 p.m. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta met with his South Korean counterpart at the Pentagon today. Panetta said North Korea was a main topic of discussion with South Korea National Defense Minister Kim Kwon-jin. He said they both agree the North remains a very dangerous nation.
North Korea remains a serious threat to both of our nations and a serious threat to regional and global stability. Over the past year, North Korea has continued its pattern of defiance and provocative actions.
Panetta also said they agreed to the need for a strengthened alliance for cyber and space protection. 2 American pilots are finally back on the U.S. soil after spending nearly a year and a half in Panama. Panama dropped money laundering charges against the 2 men, allowing them to come home. Philip Manea reports.
Houston pilots Carl Moody and Kenneth Chanowski were greeted with a hero's welcome Wednesday at Bush Airport. The 2 men had been detained in Panama for 17 months after being accused of money laundering. Those charges were dropped last week, allowing them to finally come home.
We missed you all, missed everybody.
Absolutely.
The great thing is we're home and we don't have to go back.
The trouble began last May when the 2 men were piloting an American Jet International charter flight from Honduras to Panama.
We had just finished a concert in Central America, and we're flying the promoters back to their home country, and the passengers actually had a suitcase full of cash.
More than $2 million in cash, and Panamanian inspectors began asking questions.
They immediately asked, whose bags are these, and then the passengers quickly said they didn't know.
Everyone on board was detained.
It's barely by their system. It's a cumbersome system, and it takes a while to work your way through it, but we got through it, and innocence prevailed, and we're home, and we're ready to go back to our lives.
The ordeal forced Chanowski and his fiancée to postpone their wedding 3 times, and Moody says he and his wife are moving on too.
Go home, relax, take a couple of months. Joanna and I are going to get in our motor home. We got kind of tour around the bus and see some people. We'll be back January the 2nd. If we still have a job, we'll go back to work.
We're going back to work.
That's it for news, but stay tuned. Dylan's up next with Newsline Weather.
Good afternoon with Newsline Weather. I'm Dylan Donald. Well, it's not even Halloween yet, but the weather outside is soon to be frightful. Temperatures are going to take even more of a nosedive and will be well below normal by the time the weekend rolls around. Currently in Brandon, it's 1 and cloudy. Winds are out of the west-northwest at 46, gusting to 58 kilometers an hour, and there's a 30% chance that we'll see some precipitation. This evening, plan to see some flurries with mainly cloudy sky and temperatures sitting around -1. There's a 30% chance we'll see some white stuff and winds west at 30 kilometers an hour. Overnight, the temperatures will be about -4 degrees. Cloudy skies and 30% chance of flurries. Winds should be 30 kilometers an hour from the west. Taking a look at our radar image now, across the prairie provinces, there's scattered precipitation through Alberta as well as Saskatchewan. And as we take a closer look at our province, the Parkland region is seeing a large amount of precipitation. Luckily, for now, Brandon is clear, but the chances are increasing that we'll see some showers or even flurries throughout the next few days. Turning to the satellite image now, those clouds that we've been seeing these last few days have cleared. However, you'll note the clouds that have cycled up from the States seem to be coming back our way and making the southern region a bit dismal in the coming days. The colder weather, as well as the chance of flurries, will unfortunately be sticking around. Looking at the 5-day forecast, Friday, expect a high of -1 and a low of -6. Skies will be partly cloudy and there's a 30% chance of flurries, with winds from the northwest at 30 kilometers an hour. The weekend should be cool and the chances of flurries and showers should be sticking with us. Saturday, a high of only -2 and a low of -11, with continuing cloudy skies. Chance of flurries is only 20% and the winds should be from the northwest at 15 kilometers an hour. Sunday, the nasty conditions continue with a high of -2, lows dipping down to -11 again with partly cloudy skies, winds from the southeast from the 15 kilometers an hour. The cool temperatures are hanging around for at least the beginning of next week. Monday, temperatures will sit around a high of -1 and a low of -8. The skies will be cloudy with a 20% chance of flurries and winds 15 kilometers an hour out of the east. Tuesday, the sun will finally sneak out and we'll see a high of +1 and a low of -11. The winds will be from the northwest at 10 kilometers an hour. Taking a look around the region, Winnipeg as well as Portage la Prairie are reporting in at 3, while Dauphin's sitting at 2. Neepawa 3 degrees, Carberry is only 1, Killarney is sitting at 0, while Minnedosa and Verdun round us out, both reporting in at 1 degree. The normal high for this time of year is 8 degrees and the normal low is -4. Record temperatures for this date were our high of 22.2 degrees in 1977, and the record low was recorded back in 1957 when temperatures reached -17.8. Once again in Brandon, it's +1 and cloudy. Winds are out of the west-northwest at 46, gusting to 58 kilometers an hour, and there's a 30% chance of precipitation. That's it for weather, but stick around. Jordan's up next with Newsline Sports.
Good afternoon with Newsline Sports. I'm Jordan Olson. The Brandon Wheat Kings scored twice in the third period last night as they toppled the Vancouver Giants 3-2. Nick Buonassi had 2 goals. Tim McGauley had the other. Corbin Bowes stopped 27 of 29 shots. Ayrton Nickel, Renee Hunter, and new Wheatie Chad Robinson and the captain Ryan Pollock had assists in the win. The Wheat Kings now have a 7-5-2-0 record while the Giants fall to 2-9 on the season. From the Giants team that lost to a Giants team that seems to have forgotten how to lose, since being 1 game from elimination, the San Francisco Giants have outscored their opponents 28-4. Last night, the Giants displayed their offensive dominance when they tamed the Tigers 8-3. San Francisco's third baseman, Pablo Sandoval, hit 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats to lead the Giants to victory. Justin Verlander of the Tigers was sent to the dugout after 5 runs in 4 innings, while Barry Zito was solid through 5 2/3 for the Giants. The Giants lead the best-of-7 series 1-0. Game 2 is tonight in San Francisco at 7 p.m. They're missing their 2 stars, but the Minnesota Timberwolves still put on a show for basketball fans in Winnipeg. Chase Budinger scored 21 points off the bench, and Derek Williams added 18 in a 95-76 victory over the Detroit Pistons. Minnesota played without Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio, but were treated as the hometown team at the MTS Center. Brandon Knight and Winkler Flyers assistant captain Tanner Jago is hoping to end up in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia next month. Jago was among the final 60 players named to the Team West selection camp, which will take place at the end of October in Calgary. Should he make the team, he'll play for Team Canada in the World Junior A Challenge. And Colton, that's it for sports.
Thanks, Jordan. So the San Francisco Giants were able to get to Justin Verlander last night. Game 2 goes tonight. Who do you see winning that game?
I see the Giants taking another series lead with the game tonight. If they can topple them once, I can see them doing it again with the hometown advantage and already having a little bit of experience with the Tigers now as of last night.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Baumgartner gets the start for San Francisco. Detroit's still not yet to name a starter, to my knowledge, but it should be a good game. Detroit really needs to come back and even up that series as they go back home for Game 3 and 4. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left for you today, but be sure to join us next week again on Tuesday for Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline.